What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's good to be back. Yes, I'm alive. I just got back from hosting Comic-Con, Ignite, and other stuff. My sleep schedule is just in shambles. Somehow I took a month off, but I worked more. Just love that for me. But I thought we would jump right back into it, start off with some heat, and rank all the heroes and rivals in our Season 3.5 tier list from best to worst. Obviously looking at low elo and then high elo, depending on where you might play or how you want to play, whether you're casual or sweaty. We're going to rank them all. Let's jump in. All right, so before we get started, we have low elo, high elo. It's around diamond rank, where I'm going to split the difference, probably like diamond 2 if you want to get technical about it. And it's not just how good are you at playing video games that determines this, but just your teammates. This is a team game, and so if you play a dive character, it's arguably going to be a lot easier to play in combo dive comp like Captain America, Psylocke, or whatever it might be. On top of that, you have skill ceiling, skill floor, and these characters get a lot better as you perfect their mechanics. So that's going to be the difference of high and low elo, and why you might see some very high in one and not the other. But with that being said, let's start with Adam Warlock. We're going to go A to Z here in this tier list. Now, Mr. Warlock got some very nice buffs in Season 3.5, and typically, I've got Adam always very low on the low elo tier list. I think his cooldowns are too important. His aim is crucial, and you don't have those things in low elo. But because of the way his cooldown works and his ult charge time and really just ease of use of what they've done to his ultimate, giving everybody way more health, I think Adam is very good. Now, in low elo, he's still, kind of technical and not as easy as the other supports. I've got him in C tier, though, which is the highest I think I've ever ranked him here, because the shackles have been removed of the triple res passive. And because of that, I think we are at the very beginning. I'm going to put him in A tier for high elo, but very beginning of what Adam is going to be moving forward. I think this hero's stupid good. Obviously, triple support is where you probably want to have him shine best, but he can work quite easily, not quite easily, but he can work in double support meta at this point. The cooldown reduction is insane, and that's what's made him better in low and high elo. Headshots get the cooldown reduction, but now just using his alt fire is going to do the same thing. And having that resurrection and not having to be as scared of something like, the Bucky coming, whatever, right, is going to give you way more confidence in playing him. And it just opens up the floor for a lot of people to start using this guy. If you haven't used the Golden God, if you like playing DPS, but you need a support, which is like, 80% of people out there, try Adam Warlock. I think this is definitely going to be his season, and I like where he's at. As we head into Group Stage 2, expect a lot more of them. But before we jump into these specifics about King T'Challa and how to counter him, I've got to ask, does your PC sound like it's preparing for takeoff when you start up Rivals shaders or not? Or maybe your GPU is auditioning for Fast and Furious 14? If your fans are louder than your comms, then I'm calling in a buddy. We finally decided to team up. Come on in here, Sponsor Cozy. What's up? I appreciate the introduction. Look at us getting along. Guys, all you need for that PC is a GeForce RTX 50 series GPU with DLSS 4. Now, DLSS 4 doesn't just boost your game, it straight up multiplies it. We're talking up to 4.4x the performance in Marvel Rivals. 4.4x, all right, and on a 5090 in buttery 4K 240 FPS. And with DLSS multi-frame generation, it adds up to 3 extra frames per one render, like Loki making clones, but it's your frames, like cloning itself with AI. Your GPU's not working harder, it's working smarter. Because guys, as you know, Marvel Rivals is all about precision, power, and occasionally, tossing a purple meteor and smashing down the Cloak and Dagger on the enemy team. But for all of that, you need frames. You need silky smooth frames. But if that's not enough, boom, we've got NVIDIA Reflex with up to 50% less latency, faster target snaps, better precision, and no more blaming the delay when you whiff your ult. Allow me to take the mic for a second, but I gotta say, having a rig that can keep up with all the chaos of Marvel Rivals, it feels good, right? Because when I lose 5 games in a row, I know it's not a tech diff, it's just me. So guys, what are you waiting for? Ditch the old PC, level up your setup now with the GeForce RTX 50 series today, and erase the lag and unlock your sweaty potential and unleash what you can do across the heroes and the roster. I want to give a big thank you to NVIDIA for sponsoring today's video. I'm Sponsor Cozy. I'm out. I'm going to give it to regular Cozy to get back to T'Challa. All right, next up, guys, we have Black Panther, and obviously they fixed his no-reg bug that was making him not great, and then he became insane. And the thing about Black Panther is, first of all, they did give him a small nerf, but really, low elo players think he's a lot better than he is at the rank because the amount of just really skilled people with high rank accounts that don't want to play in high rank matches are going down and smurfing. And so because of that, he's almost always an insta-ban because he's one of the hardest heroes to counter when you have someone so good playing the hero. Now, the skill level's not there for true low elo, so I do have him in C tier is where I'm going to have him for now, because of just what it takes and the punishment behind him and the follow-up and all the things that make Panther great. You just kind of lack there with team and self-ability at low elo. But because high elo comes and smurfs a lot, it's going to skew those results. Everyone in low elo, I'm not looking at a smurf level. I'm looking at just how you would play the game. In high elo, I've got him in A tier. I think he can arguably always be infinitely higher, right? Just because he is just such a pain in the side. Yes, I get it. It's a lot harder to kind of get his thing going. But a true dominant Black Panther can just run lobbies and people don't want to mess around with it. We've seen that in the highest level of pro play, and we're seeing that still within the game. I think Black Panther, if he's not banned and you love him, still play him. You're going to dominate. Very good Wakanda hero. Next up, guys, Black Widow. And, you know, for a couple seasons, we were like, hey, maybe she's not the worst hero in the game. And I gotta say, guys, in a game with so many different picks and heroes and possibilities and the way that the game works all together and what we've seen in the resume that shows, she's just garbage. I'm gonna put her in F tier for both. There are people that are good with the hero, but those same people could be way more efficient with their team, in my belief, with the other sniping characters like Jean, Hela. There's just not a solid reason to play her, and she's another hero that you can't give the one-shot ability to, because then at that point, right, it's probably going to be a little bit too much. You can damage booster. You see that a little bit coming out of Spawn and maybe something like Yggdrasil's Path, but outside of that, not a lot of reason to play her and to defend her. Black Widow, Natasha, going F tier. But I mean, I guess the plus side is she keeps getting skins and they look good. I just, who's wearing these skins? We move on to Blade, the Daywalker. This one is very hard for me to decide for a lot of reasons. Number one, we just had a patch that changed some things that are going to affect slightly this tier list, not that much, but also there are heroes that come out and we get the immediate effect. Emma Frost is a great one. We know exactly how useful Emma's going to be. And then there's others that take time. And I think Blade is taking some time to really figure out who he is, how he works. Now, clearly, he was underperforming. His lifesteal wasn't enough to keep up with his survivability. He's very interesting because he's almost just shotgun man. He's not Blade. He's just the guy with the shotgun. And then you follow up with the sword. And he has a nice gameplay loop when you figure it out. The lifesteal is a pretty big buff that they give him. Like, it's not too shabby. I think he went up like 7% in his overall lifesteal. He just doesn't have great survivability, and it's just a little wonky in compared to the other options. Like, there's just better choices out there, but he can also dominate. Like, I've had some insane Blade games. I've seen Blade do okay. I think right now, like, the safe side of me is going to go C tier for high and D tier for low. But this is by far the most one with flexible change, and I would not be surprised if he goes up. I don't think he's going to go to like an S tier, but I could see him much higher once people really nail down his kind of play patterns. His cycle has been figured out with the weekend with the shotgun going with the blade. His ult is fine, and a couple tweaks here and there. We got our next Human Torch, who got a couple buffs, and then, you know, he's one of the best heroes in the game at this point. So Blade, tough one to rank, but I feel confident with the C and the D. All right, so Bruce Banner is an interesting one. I'm going to be honest, because there are people that can play this hero to such a level, and I still think he's a top 2 to 3 highest skill ceiling hero in the game. That being said, the overall public on how they play this hero, he's just not in the best spot, because you have dive heroes that are better options than him, you know, whether it be with their ult or what they can offer, or just going against certain things. He's very susceptible to CC and high elo, and so I've got him in B tier and high elo, all right, because mainly it's just there's better options there. He can do okay, he can do well. There are games where he can flourish. For the most part, I would say the other Vanguards are the options I would choose, especially in the given meta we are, and what Emma Frost can just eat the hell out of his Gamma Lunch. Low elo, I don't think I've given this guy a good rating nearly ever, right? Because of how hard it is to master this guy. But as the game gets older, right? We're what, 8 months in, something like that. People are getting smarter and better, even the low elo. And I think now, dude, he's kind of a low elo havoc wrecker, bro. This guy can absolutely do some crazy things. Now, more people play this hero bad than good. I can't like put him in an S tier. I have him in B tier though. I'm going to raise him up a little bit You get the Namor team up, which Namor's cracked in low elo, but also, dude, the gamma shields, all the small buffs have just helped him round out to a bit of an easier hero. Like, you know, in like certain fighting games, you have the button mashers and then the people that know what they're doing. Like, there comes a point where, like, with enough buffs, he's starting to offer at least something. They still need to learn when to dive out. But overall, I do think that Hulk is getting better in low elo. And he's top of B in high. All right, so Captain America. This might be my hot take. This might be the hot take here of the tier list. I think Captain America is one of the best Vanguards in the game in high elo. When it comes to his ultimate and having a third support ability, the skill ceiling of his animation cancels, and the terror he can be. Like, yeah, he looks like he has a low offensive output, but I'm telling you, if you master this thing and perfect it, whether it's Ignite, we can look at high level play when I was hosting that, and that's its. Oh, if we're looking at high level play, he's like the single best difference maker in the game in Vanguard. But also you have to look at who's getting banned and the obvious bans. We know who the best Vanguards are. We're going to get to them. But when those aren't available, Captain America is not only just a must pick, but just completely terrorizes, can survive, put out the damage, is so mobile, and it can just be such an anchor for the team for the most part, and is unkillable. Now, on the other side of things, if you look at the low elo side, I'm going to go probably B tier. You know, he's still super hard to you know, these heroes that are hard to use and perfect, Spider-Man's a good example, they're hard to hit too, and so it kind of evens some things out. You're not going to get the animation canceling with the low elo, but he's still very good as just a solid base hero. And you see, Emma banned a lot, obviously, in low elo as well. So I do have him in B tier. I think he's good on either. He's arguably like at the end of S tier, if that makes you feel better. Maybe the top of A. But I honestly think Steve Rogers is probably one of the most worthwhile heroes to learn if you want to like master Vanguard and not do the stereotypical picks that are probably going to be banned. And lastly, for my point on Captain America and why there's such a big difference from low to high elo, if you play with somebody that's a dive hero, something like a Psylocke or, hell, you could go with most dive heroes. Captain America and her or them together is next level good. So if you run duos and you guys are both cracked at Vanguard and Duelist, go with the Psylocke and Cap. They're not going to get banned, and you can just rain hell. Cloak and Dagger, this is an easy one. I feel like a lot of the supports and strategists are just not hard to talk about. I have them in S tier for both. Obviously, very different reasons and why they excel in each elo is for different reasons. You got the auto aim as always, and just just stupid easy to use in low elo to heal, keep up the team. A lot of safeguards in place, like the bubble to protect yourself, kind of like a very small mini ult to keep yourself alive in times of trouble. You have the ult having so much range and flexibility, solid. And then Cloak is just good in low elo for the auto aim, but in high elo, you've got the Terror Cape. People are starting to really combine this with things like Mantis, just to absolutely melt down enemies and combine that together. And then you just have very consistent healing overall. Cloak and Dagger is a simple pick. Not the best strategist in the game, but right there probably at like the third slot. Doctor Strange. I feel like I always have a tough time ranking Doctor Strange, and I almost feel like they have him in a perfect spot that won't change that much. Obviously, Wolverine, they can really hurt and pressure him Magik if she's going out at, crazy. But Doctor Strange is such an essential hero in pro play at all times and really just competitive matches. He's not going to get banned, which is great, unless you have someone that just like hates the Scarlet Witch team up. But the TP is all too important. TP is just so clutch in matches for overtime, but at the same time, opening up things, changing strats if things aren't working. And then you also just have reliable damage, strong survivability. He's at A tier for both. Eye of Agamotto just being such a game-changing ability. Really not that hard to use once, even in low elo, you master not being incredibly obvious when you do it. He's one of those that's like, I always want to make a case for him to go higher than this, but the ones above him are way better. And so he's going to stay in A tier, but I like him here firmly, and I don't see him moving even as we move on unless he gets something changed. Emma Frost, guys, keep this one short, obviously. Just incredible at dodging nerfs, and I don't want her to get nerfed. I really like the way she plays, but she's going to eventually. She's too dominant in what she does. Arguably is the best Vanguard in the game, is equipped with one of the best team-ups to enable other very good heroes. We've talked about this. Anti-dive. The sustain is strong. The ability to cut off heals. Her ult is a strong setup ult. The overall just such a value tank and is just dominating rank. Doesn't matter low or high. S tier for both, and it's pretty obvious at this point. Only con against her, she's just banned so often. I mean, very often you're not going to be able to play with Emma Frost in high rank play, and for a lot of reasons in low rank play as well. I do think she's not nearly as good in low rank, but because of just the hero she is and her kit. The simple point is, though, S tier for both. She's crazy. Can we get more skins, Netties? Appreciate you. All right, next up we have Groot, who just got the new team up with Mantis, and also some very good buffs to his passive, the way he works, his reach overall. And Groot is been maintaining the same position now for a couple seasons. He's firmly S tier. I think he's actually one of the strongest tanks in the game. Right there now, kind of with that Magneto spot of being just dominant. I've got him in S tier firmly in high elo, and then low elo, I'm always pretty low on him. I've got him in C tier. Just wall placements are never there. Coordination and being a bullet sponge, all these things add up. He's just not anywhere close to as good in low elo. No matter how much you want, you want the difference of it, it's just not there. On top of that, because it's not a lot of 2 Vanguard lineups all the time in low elo, Wolverine exists, and then he's just the easiest way to counter him. But in high elo, Wolverine's banned, and just the double walls, the damage, and the heals that he can keep himself to sustain going, cutting off supports, and his overall presence on a regular match of rivals is superior. No one can do what he does. Honestly, like with single tank, I think I'd want Groot more than anybody. He's very solid. And obviously there's heroes that counter his walls and make it a little bit tougher, but his setup, his ability, give me Groot. S tier for high, C tier for low. All right, we got another hot take here. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but Hawkeye is just one of those heroes. He's so weird, right? Because season 0, he was like S tier, then he went down significantly. I think he dropped down to like maybe C tier. You guys will see on the graphic I have up. He's not great right now. I've got him in about D tier, and it feels so weird to put him here because I feel like if you were to have like the best player play every hero, Hawkeye would be a lot higher, because to maximize Hawkeye, you need a lot of skill and you can't miss your shots. And if you do, he turns from the guy carrying a match in the duelist position to the worst one on the team. So it's just a tough hero to play. And if you're him, which, you know, a lot of you guys think you are, so maybe, but unless you're just nailing every shot, he just doesn't bring that value that the other duelists do. I've got him in D tier right now. The meta's not favorable for him. The aim, the ult doesn't match up. Sadly, Hawkeye, D tier. We move on to the Goddess of Death in Hela, and this is definitely a hero. It was kind of weird just not seeing her at Ignite much at all. We only see a couple people, you know, specialize in Hela. I think outside of season 1, she's been in S tier ever since because of just how good she is, and she always gets buffs and seems like she is the answer to so many different heroes in the game. But there are a couple of issues right now with Hela. Number 1, you've got a hero that she should countering her. More on that in actually the next hero we talk about. But even more so, Jean Grey just does everything she does better, right? And at this point, with what you can min-max with Jean Grey and the ult combinations, number 1, way more effective. The melee tech and the crazy damage up close and mid-range, way more effective. And her overall kit, more useful than Hela. Jean Grey is what's kind of eaten Hela's lunch and put her down finally to A tier and high elo. I think arguably in the right hands, she can go up, like her damage is there, but it's just not comparable. We're seeing everybody switch over to Jean Grey. Quite obviously, one of the best heroes in the game in Jean, even though we're not talking about her. And that kind of, that sums it up. We're talking about Jean Grey more than Hela for that exact reason. So I've got her in A tier for high and low elo. Low, she's still good. She requires a lot of aim. You know, you've got that. The tech and the crazy stuff and the coordination with Jean isn't really there with low, so you still kind of keep her damage output. I would actually say Hela's ult is almost more effective in low elo because you can just rain down hell. Jean Grey, though, you heal up. There's so much going for her. So, yes, Hela, who we're talking about. Hela, A tier for both. And then, yes, we go to the reason why Hela's not great right now. Human Torch, best DPS in the game. Yes, he just got some nerfs to him with this recent hot patch that came out, but they're nerfing the wrong things. Human Torch is a menace for so many reasons, but mainly it's the hitbox and his animation canceling. So he's got this melee animation cancel that makes him incredibly hard to hit, and that is the main core reason behind him. You know, obviously he's got some, you know, his primary is still very good, and he's got other things rolling for him, and yes, his fireballs is going to kind of lower it a little bit with the damage they've taken off it. But dude, they have to fix the animation canceling if they don't want Human Torch to be permabanned. He's one of the few heroes that can just absolutely ruin a lobby if he's not banned and you have someone that can play him. They're going to win the game for you. We've seen it in Ignite. We're seeing it in high rank ladder. Torch is just him. And even with the changes, he's still going to be very good. Supernova, great pressuring. Chaos, man, ridiculous. Johnny Storm, A tier in low. You don't have the melee canceling happening very much in low elo at all. Like, truly at all. But he's still just a good hero and easy to use and kind of low elo friendly. Next up is Invisible Woman, who's just kind of like keeps on falling down the tier list, and it's weird. What made her very good is kind of taking her back now. You know, we used to love that she can use her ult from far away, and that was kind of nice. But as a stationary ult compared to Cloak and Dagger, Luna, Loki turning to Luna, it just doesn't have the same value. Also, she's very easy to eliminate within the ult compared to the other heroes. And so you combine all that together and she just doesn't have what made her stand out and special. Now, pushing off and the other things that she can do is nice, but it doesn't make up for the fact that she just doesn't have that same anchor healing as the other strategists. I've got her in B tier for high. I've got her in A tier for low because it's like no one's coordinating to eliminate the... I say eliminate, by the way. I don't think I could say kill on cast for Marvel. But to go after Invisible Woman in her ult and low elo doesn't exist as much, and doing like the ult from far away is still very good. And it's just like it's very easy to use in low elo. So I have her actually ranked higher in low elo, but just struggling as a strategist, and we don't see a lot of people leaning towards her, even with bans to the other heroes. All right, next up, guys, we have Iron Fist, who did get some changes in 3.5. Where does that kind of have him in this meta? I think Iron Fist kind of gets talked down on a lot because he's been like, you know, he was really good, then really bad, then very good, now and then extremely bad, and now he's kind of somewhere in between. And I also think people haven't really like dedicated enough time into the new, not the new way he plays, but somewhat, right? He's got the new meditation that heals the team. You know, as a healer, he's just fantastic. But I think he's probably C tier for both. The changes made him better than he was for sure in the last season. He's not ever what he has been, and a very tricky hero to kind of put together. And there's a lot of ways to just straight out counter him or ignore him. And then the ult is, you know, is what it is. So I feel like C tier is about right. He can be a niche pick. He can work out in certain comps. He's good against flyers in the right ways. But yeah, not the best hero, not the worst. Next up is Iron Man. And I straight up say this with full confidence. I think Iron Man's probably one of the easiest. I think he's the easiest hero to play duelist-wise. Right there with Squirrel. They're kind of the same hero. He's an S tier, low tier hero, low elo hero. No doubt about it. I mean, it's just so easy to get the value out of this guy, to go into overdrive, to shoot, bam, bam. They can't do anything. Oh, they're not going to look up. Your supports aren't looking up, so you do have that to deal with. But for the most part, you're able to do everything he does well to 100% efficiency in low elo. The ults getting like the triple, you know, kills, the beams to melt down tanks, and just the constant damage. Hide behind a pillar and just shoot away. He's an S tier hero. And then in high elo, I think he's still very good. I have him in high B tier. I think that's probably about right. You know, they've adjusted him enough to not let him be like this ult farming chaos, but he is still left, you know, can be kept in check. Phoenix is a great example amongst a lot of others in high elo that can just deal with him a bit more. But, you know, I think this is about where he's going to be unless something happens to him. Ultron players are typically a lot better in high elo, and, you know, yes, you know, putting Ultron and Iron Man together is not a bad idea. I like Ultron in a lot of comps, but he does work in flying comps very well. So yeah, Iron Man B and S tier. Jeff the Baby Land Shark. Each and every season, I pick a couple heroes that I like to lore just to, why not, right? I did Psylocke last season and just absolute ran shop with Psylocke. Now we've got Jeff, and after I went to Ignite, I went to China, I went to Guangzhou, and I saw Rad win with Jeff. I'm like, hey, I can do that. And spoiler, I can't, all right? Very hard to get the max effectiveness out of Jeff to make him like an S tier hero. However, I think he's very good. I've got him in B tier for high, and I feel very confident in saying that. The bubble and the coordinations that you can do to get everything moving faster and dives going more and having the healing over time, but also just it's so easy. And this is why I've got him high up in C. I got him in C for low elo. It's so easy to get the damage going with him with his primary and the healing. Just consistent output and pressure to the opponents and for your team in the upkeep. His healing's not that bad, you know, it can definitely keep everybody up and going. His ultimate, although doesn't always get that value, we saw 4-piece, you know, in the grand finals, Jeff getting a 4 elimination kill to secure the point and win, right? Like, there are things that he can do that is crazy. Most of the time, you're not going to get that off. Like, you have to really have the enemy team distracted. and hope that you don't get ulted or just absolutely destroyed on your way off the ledge. That being said, I think Jeff can do plenty in his role. I think that he takes a lot of dedication to learn, and low elo, the ult usage and some of the way you play him is just not there, right? But he's not as bad as people say. So the God of Mischief, Loki, who has felt like he's kind of just been around the meta forever, him and Luna are still going to remain the best, you know, in high elo. As supports, they did just do a massive nerf to his damage. They took it down by a massive 5 per hit, which is, you know, really big when you're looking at spell field damage. And that's going to kind of help the flanking Loki that we were seeing a lot, and just being able to like 3-shot like heroes with 250 plus health. But all that being said, Loki's still S tier for so many reasons, and it's the ult, it's the placement, it's a consistent healing, high skill ceiling. Loki's just he's just him, man. He's just until they change it, Loki and Luna are going to be at the top of the board, and we don't know why, man. We just can't figure it out. At first, you know, there was the conspiracy of the summer skins. You got the Speedo Loki. You got the whole Jotunheim out on his Speedo. Then you've got Luna in the bikini. I'm with Danny a lot. I'm always saying, is there like a written clause? Like, don't ever nerf. I don't know. But what I can tell you is they're still top of the meta. People have began to just hate these heroes. And then in low elo, I've got Luna and A. You still have to have good aim and awareness and timing of abilities. So not like the easiest hero to use, to be fair. And Loki's even worse at that. He's B tier. I've had them there for a couple seasons. That's kind of where they're anchoring at. I was going to put Loki in A, but with the damage now going back down, I probably have him in B overall for low elo. But yeah, top of the top. If they're not banned, it's the 1 and 2, and then it's Cloak third for the most part. I just realized I ranked them together. I feel like I always rank them together. Magik, though, is next up, and Magik is slowly going up, but not too much, right? Like, I feel like if you were to ask me what heroes I see the least in my games, you know, right there with like Widow, Magik's close. You know, every now and then you get that Magik lore that you're like, oh my god, is Magik back? And then you realize she's not. Her survivability can still be okay, and her output's fine, but she kind of just struggles that most heroes are better to play than her, and there's others at the role that she does that is just not nearly as good. I think Magik can be crazy in the right hands. If Smurf can just run shop, just like Black Panther, in low elo, but for the time being, I've got her in C tier for both, and there's really not enough to have me push her above that, especially with where the meta's at the moment. Magneto, finally! Magneto got a nerf, guys. He got a nerf. Was it a significant one? Absolutely not. He's still S tier in both tiers. Magneto is one of my highest recommendations for people that don't know what they want to play, but they want to have a lot of effectiveness for the team. Very easy to learn, very low skill floor. He's very simple to learn. He's an incredible defensive hero, but also with strong offensive output. I think he's kind of like, I want to say like the perfect hero. They've got to change up probably a little bit of and scale back what they did maybe with his alt fire and whatnot and how fast that charges. But Magneto just feels so solid in all matches, whether it's one tank or two with the Emma team up or not. I want a mag on my team, and I love a good mag. He's just always going to be that guy. Also, he's like one of the main X-Men. So as we continue to get X-Men, which I think we're going to always get way more of them in this game, there's chances of more and more team ups for the guy. So he's going to stick around for a long time. S tier for both. We move on to Mantis, who just like Adam Warlock was freed from the triple res, shackles. And how did she land on the other side? She got her own team up, and there's things that I like about her. And they've kind of tried to find new identity for her with her ultimate, how she heals tanks versus squishies, and what can she provide for the team. Now, her ult has been fixed. It's been a lot more consistent, and it can do things that other ults can't. And that was her problem for a long time. I don't know where I want Mantis. I have her close, like she's borderline A tier in some ways, but I'm going to have her in B tier overall. I think she's not that hard to play. Yes, you have to hit your shots, but just the way she heals and the damage boost is nice. At high elo, we saw her banned a ton. For a lot of reasons, yes, triple res, now that that's gone with after the ignite phase, being able to give your best crack duelist the damage boost with like the terror cape was something we saw all the time. I think Mantis in a triple support lineup can be a very good hero in this game. I'm not sold. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's just really the issue is how good Luna and Loki are, right? Because you get the Mantis auto lock on the ban screen and you're like, can't we just play Luna Loki or whatever? That's a lot of people's feelings, and it's hard to get out of that. But as a hero and what she offers, I think she's pretty good. Mr. Fantastic. Listen, guys, I made the last tier list, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and I always love to see how much fans are there of one individual hero. And typically, they're always the loudest when they're in the F tier, right? You put someone's favorite hero in the F tier, you get it all in the comments. Doesn't matter that I put him in the S tier, in low elo. They were mad. The 10 people that play him in high elo were mad that he was in the F tier. So I listened, I read the comments, I thoroughly evaluated him. And guys, I put him back in the F tier. I don't think he's good in this game in high elo. He's been figured out and he's this master of none. Would love to see him move to a Vanguard role if they can and just change numbers. You don't see him play number one, but at the same time, he just doesn't offer the value that you want from him and what he does so well in low elo. He's a low elo king, and maybe that's his role, but it's just not there in high elo. I'm sure a couple of you guys are crazy with him in high elo, and if you are, that's off to you. I appreciate you guys, and I think you can still dominate with him if you're good with him. But for the majority of people, I've got him down there at the bottom. I'm sorry. Although I will say this, there are a couple corridors and a couple places, like what's that? Warrior Falls. You can ult inside small areas, and that thing is my biggest fear, man. I would rather go up against any ult than that thing. But he's still garbage. Next up, we have Moon Knight, and I'm about exactly where I was for him last time. I think that he is such a great hero. Honestly, he's really strong, but the problem is he's not good on 1v1s, right? And so the higher you get in the game and the more aware you get players, or the more Psylocke players, or whatever it might be, the worse he gets. And so in low elo, he's S tier because people just leave him alone way too much. They group up too much, and then you can feast. The ult gets more value. Very good, simple to use hero in low elo. High elo though, he's C tier. He's niche. He can still do a couple great things. He can combo out and pump out a ton of damage and deal with dive a bit easier, but his weaknesses are very strong and apparent. He's a glass cannon. Best way to say it. And because of that, got him in C tier. Can't put him higher than that, even though I think you can get value stronger than that. And I like to play him a bit in high elo. But Mark, Steven, Jake, whoever you're talking about, is C tier best at high elo. My dear Susan Storm, where do we've got Namor? I feel like Namor is usually, he's kind of easy to rank, right? Yeah, Hulk is not trending as well in high elo, but I still think that Namor is just very solid all around. He's not a hero I'm ever mad that's on my team. In low elo, he still absolutely stomps with the turrets, the whale, the way that his projectiles work, his damage, his consistency. He's so good, man. And he can deal with a lot of things. Like, he can deal with Smurf accounts easier, if that is what you're looking at. A good Hulk and Namor can absolutely get out of low elo just with a duo Q. In high elo, I've got him in the lower part of A tier for a lot of reasons. I think that's probably where he lands overall. Namor, though, is just a consistent hero, but he's falling out of the things that made him, super strong, but he'll always have his place in niche, especially in domination. Peni Parker, man. Peni Parker, probably the most banned hero in low elo by a long shot. People, man, they hate the spider nest. And I talked about Hulk, and I was like, as the game gets older, people get smarter. It's just not the case with Penny. Those spider nests, they're just feasting in low elo. I'm convinced they're just not on the screen for people in low elo because they sit there forever. You like the squids in low elo, any deployables are just that much better. Again, win rate wise, you can look at it. I think she's just such an easy tank to use in low elo. S tier for sure. High elo, I still have her in C tier. She's situational. She can be good in certain triple Vanguard holds and a couple points here and there. I think people have her a lot lower, and I think it's a bit disrespectful because she can offer plenty to the team, but she's definitely, it's just that the core issue that we keep running into. There are better options most of the time. But the Penny purists, as I like to call them, the ones that just dedicate themselves to the art of Penny, the religion of Parker, are crazy people, man. They're nuts at her. And I have seen some, the way they can wall climb and jump up, whatever they can do with the mines, man. It's not the Penny I play with. So she can't be crazy good, but I've got her in C. Phoenix is next up, and just telling the rest of the duelists you are nothing, because just about outside of Human Torch, she's the best in the game. Man, I just feel like, what does she not have? What does she not have in her kit that doesn't make her extremely strong? Her combo potential, the way you can utilize her ult with a number of ults like Magneto, Psylocke. We've seen it in high play. We're starting to see it a lot more coordinated in just regular play as well. Low elo, you still have to get the aim down. And yeah, she's kind of has some Moon Knight-esque things. You're not going to get the mid-range melee craziness. We talked about her a lot with Hela, so I'm not going to go into her much more. but she's clear-cut the number 2, I think, duelist in the game right now. I've got her in S tier, easy, A tier for low. Next up is Psylocke, my love, my favorite hero, probably my main at the moment. And shout out to Alpha, amazing woman who does the voiceovers for her. I think Psylocke is just incredible, dude. Maybe biased, but I feel like Psylocke's just like every time she doesn't get any type of a nerf, I'm so pumped. Like they took a second off her invisibility and it didn't matter. She's S tier for high confidently because of the value she can bring, her assassination potential, her team play. She's not even pure dive, right? She can just be a tank melter. Her ult gets value at least of getting other ults out of there, but also setting up and getting a pick if you need to, even on just one person. There's nothing she does wrong, and then if you get the Emma team up, it's GG, game over. She's a bit skill reliant, and I feel like in low elo, people play her as pure dive, which makes her not as good. She's B tier probably in low elo. You know, if you're smurfing, same thing, you can wreck, you know, just go crazy. But yeah, I've got her in S tier and B tier, and this is always my hero. Like if you are good at rivals, play this character as duelist. You're gonna have a blast, especially if you, I don't want to say if you don't want to play a team game, because she should be with her team, but like you could do a lot of carrying by yourself with her. Rocket Raccoon, man, it's like the rise and fall of Rocket is immense, and obviously Phoenix has done a lot to that, and just like his ult being in the game longer, his new and improved ult, people know to shoot it down very quickly, get rid of it. He charges it very fast, his healing is nice and safe, and with, you know, maxing out his mobility, you can still be a menace, but he's just not where he was a couple seasons ago. He's B tier, I think at best for high elo. I had him in C, but I felt like that was kind of crazy. In high elo though, he's still A tier. I think the res beacon, like all the things that you could pop off with Rocket, and just what makes him good is not figured out in low elo. So I still think he's playable, but in high elo, man, I'm frustrated if I have a Rocket most of the time. I'd rather have just about any other strategist. Low elo though, you get the double Penny nest, man. That's an S++ hero. Scarlet Witch, guys, is kind of exactly where she has been. You know, I float around D tier for her in high elo. You know, there are things that she can do well if you're with the right team, and if you're like a dedicated Wanda main. First of all, I don't know if you guys saw the concept art of her when they first made her, but her kit looked so much more cool. I'm so sad we didn't get whatever the hell this insane kit was in the art dev vision update. In low elo though, I think she might be up there as the most easy hero to flip and to win games. So I don't even know what I'm trying to say. With the strange team up, it's just so automatic. You have great escapability. The ult gets more use, and then you just auto farm with this team up that feels like it's not on cooldown long enough ever. She's S tier. She's right up there with the best, and she can counter just all the pesky. Like, you can just put the flyers on your back to deal with Iron Man, and you're going to win it for your team because they're going to be out of duelist the entire time. Spider-Man, I'm going to be honest, I always struggle where to put Spider-Man because, you know, he's not where he used to be. He's still good. He does things well. Outside of throwing people off the edge, like, that's the only thing I feel like he does well. He's hard to, I mean, his ult's good too. He's hard to hit in low elo, so I've got him in C tier, and he can be pesky, but like, I just ignore him so much of the time because it's just the impact is not that great. Now, you always get those Spider-Man, shout out to you guys, just going crazy on the guy, respect to you, and obviously you deserve to be higher, but I've got him in C for both. I don't know, I like him where I got him. I feel like if you play Spider-Man, you'll know within a minute of playing if you're going to be able to feast on the map that you're playing on. And then you're also going to know if, okay, wait, no, this team's locked in. I'm not going to get a lot of value. I got to switch. All right, next up is Squirrel Girl, guys. And I got her in S tier for low elo, no question. And I've got her all the way up in B tier for high elo. She's starting to get banned a lot. I mean, just the pure amount of ult pressure, how fast you can build that sucker up, getting out of spawns, just the immense damage. People just not moving. I don't like Clintar. The amount of times I'm yelling at my teammates that just sit there on the defensive points taking, I can't say nuts to the face, can I? Just taking damage, just taking way too much damage. I hate this hero. This is probably like, even though I can just Psylocke and go invisible and eliminate her so easily, it might be my most hated hero. I can't stand her. Now we go to Star-Lord, who Peter Quill has gotten, like, I don't know why. He's just gotten a little bit of a bad rap since the triple res thing went away, but I don't think that mattered all too much. He's not like an S tier pick anymore, but he's very good. Now that he can get quick health whenever he dodges, it's just so nice in both low and high elo. His teleporter thing's nice. You know, you got a rocket on the team, so maybe that's not the best thing. But I feel like he's just well-rounded and can deal with a lot of meta heroes. That's probably one of the best things going on about him. We saw him plenty with Psylocke and him on teams throughout the tournament, even without triple res. And I think that's still a lethal, deadly duo for many reasons. You know, his ult's going to be his ult. And now that he has more survivability, he feels like this really good mix of a lot of heroes in the game and does his own thing. Next up, we've got Storm, who I've got, I think, in the same spot as I did last tier list. A for low, B for high. I do think she's probably slept on and not used enough. If your name's Speedery and you're the best flying duelist in the game, you make her look like an S tier hero. She just feels like there's other things that I would rather use. Her ult is strong, a lot stronger in low elo, which is why I have her there, and flyers just tend to benefit a bit more. With the right Ultron and fly comp, you can get good use out of her. Jeff Nato's tamed down a lot more, but I think Storm is a solid hero that's probably slept on. Brain Castle, the Punisher, just the melter. For different reasons, I've got him in A tier for both. In low elo, just the constant pressure of just holding. His win rate is garbage in low elo, but I think that's just from all the Call of Duty bros that come to the game, realize they hate hero shooters, play Punisher, and leave. But as a whole, Punisher, man, is just consistent damage. The turret's still very strong. Once you master the mobility with his zipline and shotgun and being able to switch between the two, his ult, if it's not kept in check, can just win team fights. I like everything about him. He's not what he was, but he's still very good. A tier for both, confidently. Now, just coming from the Fantastic Four, I want to put the Thing higher. Love, man, I love... I thought the movie was pretty good. I thought the cast was incredible. The Thing is A tier for both elos. For just the pressure he brings in low elo and not being left in check. The way he can easily get his health back up. If you have a semi-competent support team, then he can do a lot in low elo and just deal with the dive and the pressure and the flying units. And he has such a unique role, and where he does succeed, he exceeds well. Now, in high elo, you have to have the right bans to certain vanguards, but if those vanguards are banned, I do think Thing is a very solid pick that can handle situations that others can't. And for whatever reason, like Lord Thing players is way up there for people that I trust. Like, I see a Lord Thing, I'm like, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. All right, guys, another hot take coming right off the press, Thor. Now, Thor has seen buffs like every patch for like 5 in a row. And I think it's finally caught up. I think it's the cool thing to say he sucks. I don't think he does. He's C tier for high, which is kind of anti of what I just said. I think people are still figuring him out. I think the Thor force change is very nice. The flying thing, it's fine. It can cancel. It does okay. Low elo, he's back to being the bully that he is. And in the right team comps, he can be an absolute demon, man. The Lightning Demon. I love this guy as a pseudo duelist / vanguard. He can combo set up so well. You Thor mains that are feasting out there that people just are sleeping on it. Go off, Kings. S tier for low, C tier for high. Now we're wrapping things up here with Ultron. Where do I've got him? I'm gonna go A tier. Yeah, A tier for high elo and B tier for low. I think skill cap is gonna be involved with that a little bit, but you know. You do get the benefit of being a flyer in low elo. He's so good with dive, against dive. He's great with flyers. He's solid to just farm ult and go crazy. He's able to be kind of shifty, but pump out a lot of damage. I love him in most lineups. Couple maps I don't, but for the most part, I think Ultron feels like just another just perfect character. I don't have any issues with him as a hero, and I think that he's definitely shining in plenty of maps and team comps. So I've got him in A again for high. And for low elo, you know, I feel like I don't get a lot of good Ultron players. To be fair, I could probably put him lower, but he's got too much going for him. And Iron Man, dude, let's just be honest. Iron Man is reigning king in low elo. If Iron Man's banned, though, Ultron goes down. Venom, another kind of hot take. I think Venom is the opposite in each tier. I think in high elo, Venom is so great with coordination. The ult is entirely slept on, his play cadence and his slow. It all works out very well, and the guy just never dies and seems to always be able to stall and then eventually just out-sustain everybody on the team. We saw him a ridiculous amount with the bans that were happening in the tournament. A lot of teams went heavy on Vanguard bans, and he was the obvious pick. And so that might inflate him a little bit, but I think Venom is such a solid-ass hero in a high tier, or in A tier. But in low elo, I'm putting him down to D tier. This is crazy, but I'm putting him where Hulk is almost. he's just almost, the coordination is not there for this guy. And he doesn't have the team up like the Hulk and just like the overall presence of him. Every time, like if you see low elo Venoms, they go in, maybe they get out, but for the most part, they're getting picked early. Then you got the stagger, you're missing a Vanguard, and you're lucky to get 2 Vanguards. If you get 2, one's Venom, and it just doesn't feel like he's pulling his weight. The ult's not used almost ever in the right time. His whole kit is meant to team up with someone else and really wreak havoc as a dive comp, and it's just not there in low elo. Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, where do I've got him? Kind of the same as Ultron, probably A for high, B for low. His carry potential, his snowball potential, anti-dive, solid kit, just incredible damage and presence. I think there are certain pushes and parts of the map that we saw a lot of the best players kind of lean to for Bucky, or he's always the like break glass in case of emergency. If things are going bad, go Bucky, go off, do your thing. Winter Soldier's going to be an A tier for sure, and high low, and then B tier for low. Everything that you need a snowball to be able to snowball well, or I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. You need skill to be able to benefit off him the most, and so he goes down a tad. And then we wrap things up with Wolverine, and Wolverine's tough to place, mainly because the guy's banned all the time, so you never get to see his true potential shine. I've always said it, I think he's great in low elo, but you don't get as much double Vanguards and just the overall use of him, and so I've got him in A for low elo. And I think he's still going to be S tier for high. You know, he is the one-of-a-kind tank shredder. People hate him. They don't want to deal with him. He counters so many different top-tier picks and is just a nuisance, man, across the board. Has been hit with nerfs. They've tried to adjust him. He's going to maintain his position in Rivals and has kind of been floating around this area for a while outside of the team-up that obviously busted him. That's pretty much it, guys. I mean, eventually these tier lists are going to take me hours to do with all the new heroes coming out once a month, but this feels right after playing a lot, talking to pros, looking at what we can see with the meta as a whole, and we're about to enter Season 4. So not crazy amounts of changes, but you are getting some nice shifts for certain heroes. And as always, guys, if you're amazing with a hero, play them, because that's what matters. A, if you're having fun, and B, if you're good with them, right? Don't let your fun make your whole team suck, and then you got that going on. But either way, this is where I rank the heroes. Let me know down below what you think I got wrong. What's up, Mr. Fantastic Man? It's good to see you. And if you skip to this part of the video, hello, welcome. I caught you. At the very least, I guess subscribe, because you came here, you looked at the rankings. Maybe I mixed things up halfway through the video. You have no idea. I don't know. You'll have to find out, guys. Appreciate you as always, and be on the lookout. I'll be hosting yet again for Ignite in Stage 2, and excited about it. Now that I'm back, we got a whole lot more videos coming your way. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until the next one, guys, happy rivaling.